Imagine a place where roads simply don't exist, where the only way to get around is by gliding quietly through the water. Here, the gentle ripples reflect the sky, and life moves at the pace of a whispering boat. What if I told you there's a place in this world where the sound of a car engine is completely foreign? A place where there are no traffic signs, no highways, and no sidewalks lined with buses or taxis. A place where roads simply don't exist. Instead of cars, people glide through narrow canals on silent boats. Instead of garages, homes have docks. And instead of the usual city chaos, life flows slowly, almost like the gentle waters that pass through this village. Welcome to Giethoorn, a tiny fairy tale town in the Netherlands, where cars are replaced by boats, and peace is not a luxury, but a way of life. Here, the streets are made of water, and the rhythm of life is dictated not by speed, but by serenity. Giethoorn is located in the province of Overijssel in the northeastern part of the Netherlands. It's nestled inside the Weerribben-Weiden National Park, a sprawling wetland reserve that protects some of the most pristine nature in the country. The town's origin dates back to the early 1200s, when refugees from the Mediterranean region settled in this marshy land. They began digging up peat for fuel, a task that unknowingly carved out dozens of shallow canals. These water channels, initially a byproduct of manual labor, later became the lifelines of the village. Without solid ground to support roads, villagers took to the canals with boats, adapting their lifestyle to the wetland environment. And centuries later, not much has changed. Giethoorn isn't just a tourist novelty. It's a living example of how communities can evolve in harmony with nature rather than against it. Let's take a moment to imagine daily life in Giethoorn. When a resident wakes up in the morning, they don't check traffic conditions. Instead, they step outside, untie their boat from the dock, and drift through tranquil canals toward the local market or cafe. Their commute is not stressful. It's a peaceful float through lily-lined waterways. Even basic logistics in Giethoorn are fascinating. Postal workers deliver mail by boat. Groceries are shipped in floating crates. Construction materials are ferried to homes on special barges. Emergency services have modified boats for fire and medical emergencies, prepared to respond with the same urgency, but on water. Children grow up with a different kind of independence. Learning to row or steer a whisper boat becomes a rite of passage, something they often learn before riding a bicycle. There are no traffic lights here, no congestion, no rush hour. Just the soft hum of electric motors and the rhythmic splash of oars cutting through the water. One of Giethoorn's most distinctive features is the use of, whisper boats. These are small electrically powered boats that emit no noise and leave, minimal wake. The result is a uniquely quiet environment, even when the canals are bustling. The entire village is an exercise in sustainable living. There are no fuel-guzzling vehicles or polluted highways. There's no air thick with smog. Giethoorn's air is fresh, the water is clean, and the carbon footprint of transportation is, honestly, virtually non-existent. The town's layout also encourages walking. Over 170 small wooden bridges connect the islands that make up Giethoorn, allowing pedestrians to cross over canals and visit neighbors on foot. This low-impact lifestyle is a model for environmentally friendly tourism and community planning. It shows us how urban living doesn't have to come at the cost of nature. In recent years, Giethoorn has gone viral. Social media, particularly platforms like Instagram and TikTok, have turned this hidden village into a global phenomenon. Tourists from Asia, Europe, and America flock to this water village to experience a few days of roadless living. But, this sudden popularity has had consequences. Giethoorn is a small town with only about 2,600 residents, but it receives over 1 million tourists every year. The narrow canals built for simple village life are often congested with visitor boats. Footbridges get crowded, and the tranquility the town is famous for begins to fray at the edges. Residents have raised concerns about over-tourism, and local authorities are working on sustainable tourism plans. limiting the number of boats, enforcing noise rules, and promoting off-season visits. Still, despite the rising pressures, Giethoorn continues to charm those who visit, and remains one of the few places in the modern world where simplicity still reigns. Giethoorn is more than just water and boats. It's a treasure trove of Dutch tradition and old-world architecture. Homes here are built in the traditional Dutch style, sloped thatched roofs, wooden shutters, hand-tended gardens bursting with tulips, lavender and daisies. Many cottages are over 200 years old and passed down through generations. Local museums like the Museum Giethoorn te Olde Mat Oos offer insights into the farming and peat-cutting history of the village. Artisan shops and cheese farms dot the surrounding area, preserving centuries-old skills. And then there are the seasons. In spring, vibrant tulip fields bloom near the canals, and swans nest peacefully along the banks. In summer, the village pulses with boat festivals, floating markets, and warm golden sunsets. In autumn, fog rolls in early over the water, and red and orange leaves create a painterly scene. In winter, the canals freeze solid, and the village transforms into a postcard. Residents skate across ice in woolen coats, echoing a tradition dating back to the 1600s. Each season brings new magic and new reasons to fall in love with the roadless wonder that is Giethoorn. As the world grows more crowded, polluted and fast-paced, places like Giethoorn force us to stop and rethink. Could we build more cities without roads? Could we return to water, nature and silence? Giethoorn may be small, but its lessons are immense. It teaches us about sustainability, community, peace, and the kind of life that values presence over productivity, connection over consumption, and quiet over chaos. It's not just a place, it's a vision. So the next time you're stuck in traffic or overwhelmed by noise, remember that there's a village out there without a single road, where people live not faster, but better, where every journey begins with water, and where life simply floats. A village without roads, a world without chaos,